In 2027,
But
I
even at
project the fund
unemployment, it didn't
balance
make a
to be
difference.
approximately $1.2 million.
Um,
The minimum fund balance guideline calls for approximately $2 million. So we're shooting a little
I
too low there.
don't know
175 watt and less, it would be increasing $1. 400 watt mercury vapors, I'm increasing that to match 400 watt high pressure sodium, and 1,000 watt fixtures increasing $0.25. Okay, moving on to page 9. What this shows is bill examples. I'm showing bill examples for class averages. So under residential inside, well, let me first start. The left side is your classes. Moving to the right under metered usage, that is the billing data or the meter data that was used to generate the bill. And so what it shows for residential, the average usage level per month is about 600 kilowatt hours. So with existing rates, that would be about $96 a month. With the proposed new rates, it would be approximately $98. So a $2.89 increase, or approximately 3%. Moving further to the right in the table, it compares in Ohio Edison's current electric rate. So whether we're looking at existing rates or proposed rate, they are less than Ohio Edison's current rate. Now, I realize residential on-demand shows about 600 kilowatt hours per month, the average. I would guesstimate that highest frequency usage is maybe more like 1,000 kilowatt hours. And in that case, a residential non-demand metered customer located inside the city limits would increase $1.65 per month, or approximately 1.1%. Commercial, I'm showing approximately a 1% increase. Industrial, I put together a 12-month average for each industrial customer. One customer would be decreased approximately 2%. One customer approximately 1%, and one customer would not really see much gain. Municipal class average energy usage is approximately 4,850 kilowatt hours, and using that energy level between existing rates to proposed rates, it would increase the monthly bill $37 or approximately 0.6%. Any question there? Okay, moving to page 10. Page 10 is simply a chart that has tracked your average electric cost rate class. So residential inside is shown in red. And in February of 2019, they were paying approximately 15.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And in 2020, you guys implemented new rates where residential went down 8 to 9%. So it dropped down to 14 cents, just a little over 14 kilowatt hour. It's then stayed slightly steady, increasing slightly. And starting in where it shows 2/1/2024, that is new rates, the proposed rate. And so residential would be approximately 59.5 cents kilowatt hour. So right about same level as back in early 2019. And that tracks for about all of the rate class. The one rate class that sticks out is municipal. The last time, as well as this time, we have been increased the municipal rate to reflect more or less the commercial rate. I don't see a big difference between those rate classes. The municipal rate or municipal class would be made up of anything from a water plant, a wastewater plant, to water pumping, lift stations. So that is like a commercial class customer. So I have been moving the municipal rate up to match the commercial rate. Industrial in 2019, that is the yellow line, they were paying on average approximately 11.6 cents per kilowatt hour. Back in 2020 with the new rates, it dropped to 10.29 cents per kilowatt hour. And what is being proposed is 11.2 cents per kilowatt hour on average. So industrial is pretty steady. To go back to 2019, residential saw a 9 to 11% increase. Commercial saw a 2.5% decrease. Commercial outside saw a 8% decrease. And industrial saw anywhere between 8 to 8.5% decrease. Municipal increased 14% the last. So what is being proposed is pretty close to what we're paying 5 years ago in 2019. All right, moving on to page 11. Page 11 shows the financial forecast. It includes historical revenues and expenses from 2019 through 2022. 2023 is budgetary numbers. 2024 through 27 is a forecast. What it's showing is back in 2019, end of 2019, the electric utility had approximately $2.6 million. As of the end of 2022, there was approximately $2 million. And with new rates, I project in 27 the fund balance to be approximately $0.5 million. Now, the minimum balance guideline shows $2 million, and then I also have a target fund balance guideline that shows $2.69 million. So basically, I project the 2027 end-of-year fund balance to land in between the minimum and the target. The very last line in the table shows debt service coverage ratio. I show in 2023 that it's not being met. However, it's a moot point because debt has retired. In 2023, you guys retired the 2004 ban. What is being proposed, shown in 2024, is a new borrowing of $1,570,000 for the Church Street improvement. So one debt rolled off, the new debt is coming on. For the debt service coverage ratio, show you guys meeting above 1.5 through the projected period of 2027. So we're meeting the minimum fund balance guideline with new rates. We are below the target fund, and our debt service obligations are being met. Any questions with table 11? Moving on to page 12. Just to summarize, The proposed overall revenue increase is approximately 1.8%. There is load growth being projected of approximately 3.8 million kilowatt hours. What that generates in revenue in 2025 is approximately $200,000 of new dollars, and by 2020 on approximately $490,000 annually. So the new rates showing it was generating approximately $106,000 annually, but because of sales growth, it's going to generate more than $106,000 annually. The minimum fund balance is met 27. We're approximately $500,000 greater than the minimum fund balance guideline, and we're approximately $163,000 less than target. And again, debt service obligations are being met. Now, sounds like a rosy picture. What happens if the new customer revenue doesn't come on? Well, I'm showing $100,000 annually, but that also comes with increased power supply costs. So if the come on, don't incur that power supply cost, and so there's a net margin that's being generated to cover your local costs. And when I subtract out what I believe the power supply cost may be in 2020 and what that net margin would be, I project that debt service coverage ratio that I was showing in 2026 of 1.92. I believe that would fall below 1.5 but be above 1.1. So it does greatly impact you. However, the plan would still work if new load doesn't come on. I do project the end of year fund balance in currently at $2.5 million with that new load. However, if that new load doesn't come on, I estimate it would be much closer to the minimum fund balance of approximately $2 million. And lastly, on page 13, just to summarize the electric utilities debt, historically current debt has been an 04 ban. That ban was approximately $250,000 in principal and interest expense. That ban was retired in 2023. From 2021 to 2022, we began to incur lease payments associated with AMI debt. From 2019 to 2020, there was a capital lease of approximately $45,000 annual, and that was for the 2015 bucket truck. That was a 5-year capital lease deal. 2019 to 2022, the annual debt, when you add all those together, averaged approximately $330,000 annually. Now, moving on to today and going into the future, the AMI or the AMI lease payment is going to be approximately $157,000 annually. That's increasing from $115,000. That's because currently I understand that the AMI meters are not fully implemented and installed, so the full debt service of the $3 million is not incurred. It's projected it will be in the future. In 2025, new debt for the Church Street substation improvements totals approximately $170,000. And so in the future, from 2025 to the annual debt averages approximately $316,000 to $317,000. So when you look at full debt, new debt, there's not much change in the total debt service annual expense. That is all I had. Is there any questions?
I'd like to ask a question. You're saying around $14,000, $14,500 projection, lower than what we're paying now in 2000 up to 2022, sir? The annual debt average.
I'm sorry, John, I catch that.
Okay.
Didn't catch it. He asked if the annual debt average was lower by 14,500.
Yeah. Yes.
The annual debt going forward be lower by about $15,000 if you're comparing it to the 2019 through 2022 period. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Actually, I do. Sir, can you hear me?
I'm sorry?
I said, can you hear me?
Let me, hold on. Let me bring this up.
All right, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, are they picking that up on the audio?
Yeah.
All right, just kind of humor me here and go along, just for clarification. I'm looking at page 7 and page 10, if you could, please. Page 7, you got the breakdown of the rate comparison. So, looking at the numbers generically, I mean, I understand the cost for the electric itself is going up by approximately 6/10 of a penny. So, and I can understand that, that's easy enough. Where myself and many of the people in the community are having an issue is the increase in the service charge, going from $7.50 to $16.50. With regards to that, we paid off that $4.25 service charge or debt service this year, 2023. But if you look from $7.50 to $16.50, it's still a $9 increase. So even if we have the $4.25 charge in that service charge for the AMI meter project, where's the additional $4.25 coming in at? That's the biggest question I've been asked as a constituent or as a representative.
Okay. I understood your question. The 4.25 that you're referring to, that is the AMI debt service charge. That debt has not been paid off. That is still there. That will be there through 2030. So when you compare the service charges, currently customers are paying $11.75 fixed monthly charges. What is being proposed is $15.50. So that's $4.70 increase to the service charge. So the 4.25 is being rolled into the new rates and is no longer being proposed as a separate charge. That debt has not gone away. The debt that has gone away is the ban from 2004. That was retired 1 year earlier than it needed to be, but there is new debt that's going to be coming on with Church Street substation improvements. And so when you factor in that, the old debt, total annual debt service that you had been paying was approximately $330,000 annually. Going forward, I project it to be approximately $316,500. We're talking $15,000 decrease annually.
Aaron, if I can also include, the PCA will also be dropped, correct? And that's included now in that service charge. The PCA would be included in that now, where it's a separate charge currently on their billing, correct?
Correct. So currently you have a PCA rate that is $1 per kilowatt hour rate. It's volumetric. So add that, say, to the energy charge for the residential non-demand. The total volumetric energy charge is 15.51 cents per kilowatt hour. What is being proposed with new is 15.2 cents per kilowatt hour. The PCA goes to zero. It goes to zero because I'm including that power supply cost into the base rates.
Because currently, if I'm understanding you correctly, the service charge is $7.50, the debt service is $4.25, the PCA based on the kilowatt hours is, 600 kilowatt hours at the 0.0082 is $4.92, which makes the service charge $16.67 currently. So it's actually a reduction of 17 cents because it's going to $16.50 instead of $16.67.
When calculating the bill, you have to not only look at just the fixed charges, you have to take into account energy charges as well, or the demand charge if it's applicable.
Right.
When you do those things, that's when table 9 or page 9 shows it. So residential inside for 600 kilowatt hours, using existing rates, which includes that separate AMI debt service chart, bill comes to $96. With new rates, that same 600 kilowatt hours comes to $98. That's an increase of $2.89 for all.
I have a question. Is the AMI debt, everybody's wondering, is that the smart meters we took on? Is that what that $3.5 million, $4 million we're stuck with? That we don't?
The meters, correct.
I want the people to know that's the smart meters. Okay,
I'm
thank you.
sorry, I did not catch the question.
Mr. Councilman Bariak asked if the AMI charge was for the smart meters, the smart meter program brought back a couple years ago.
Yes, I'm sorry. AMI would be advanced metering infrastructure. It would be the smart meters, yes. So back in 2020, I believe approximately $3.1 million was borrowed. That was for water and electric meters. And so there's a certain amount of that annual debt service cost that is being allocated to the electric utility, and that's approximately $150,000 annually. I believe per the city's schedule, I believe that debt is supposed to be retired the spring of 2030.
Infrastructure improvements expected to cost?
It's estimated at $1.6 million. What I have included or assumed is you would borrow $1,570,000 to fund that project, and that translates, when you borrow that money, that translates to about $170,000 annually in principal and interest. and that assumes a 6% interest rate.
And that is going to be in addition on top of what is already projected, is that correct?
That would be in addition to the current AMI P&I, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, sir. Does anybody else wish to take the phone?
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, let's get Bill up here. Bill? $6 million.
Yes.
Could you explain to the public how far back we've been putting that back, and now it's,
This was the last piece of the puzzle when we did the upgrade from the 4160 voltage to the 12470. When all the lines were redone in town and the poles were put in and everything, the Warren Road substation was upgraded at that time, and they put a new one in there. This was supposed to be the last piece of the puzzle, so since 2006, I kept putting it off, with talking with people and stuff, because I did not want to raise the rates. I've done everything I can to try to keep the rates low. This, I think it's been since 2006, this time was supposed to be, without the AMI, would have been our time when the ban rolled off from AMP, that we would have just started a new loan and we would have just kept going straight as we were. But with borrowing the money for the smart meters, that hurt us in that part. So that's why now you're seeing a little bit of an increase to do that. And the substation, so just everybody kind of understands, is our substation will handle the town if something happens to our Warren Road substation. But if it's a hot day when everybody's using their air conditioning, or a cold day when everybody's using their heat really bad, we may not be able to handle the whole city on that transformer. So that's the reason, and a lot of the infrastructure in the substation now is, we're looking right around 48 years old. I had a survey done this summer where they come in and inspected it, and we've come up with the conclusion that we can save that substation, save the structure in there, some of it. They'll come in and blast it down and repaint it and everything, so we'll be able to save that. So instead of buying all brand new, we're still, we're re-salvaging what we can. So it's been a long project. It's just, like I said, we've done it to try to save the whole time. And, you can only go so far with our load growth and everything. Eventually, we're gonna need to upgrade that substation. It has to be done.
Bill, what you're telling me, from what I can hear you saying, you're just gonna take the stuff that's very, very critically old and replace it right now, but some stuff is way out there, right?
Yeah, 3/4 of the substation is very old. It was in the 70s. We just replaced, a couple years ago, we replaced one of our 69 kV breakers in the substation. So that's upgraded, and we'll be able to use that going forward. And that was one of the pieces, was giving us so many issues. So we did replace that. We replaced it in both substations and our metering stations. So we did that piece of the puzzle, but our switchgear, it just keeps giving us issues. We have to go in there constantly. We're having problems with voltage going to ground and stuff when it shouldn't be. So, there's issues going on in there, and it's old. It's time, and with the new upgrade, what it will do too, to help save, is we're trying to mirror the Warren Road substation a little bit. So if something happens to a main breaker, we can take it from one substation to the other and still be able to keep moving, which nobody would see because we do that behind the scenes. But that's what we're trying to do to try to save. We're doing what we can.
Thank you.
May I have the floor?
Yes.
Is there or was there anything considered, the 3% increase for the 289? I'm looking at, in the city rate. I get that, I understand. But the jump, and I'm understanding it as you have the 750, the 425, so you're looking at a 475 jump on top of that. So
right.
The 1650. Is there anything we can do, or have we looked at anything to not have to go that high?
Well, I think that extra 4.25 is what's gonna cover the new loan and stuff.
Oh, I thought,
So when we borrow the money, because that's gonna be for that project.
okay, because I thought when Councilman Rufner asked, he said that was in addition to. Maybe I misunderstood.
No, that's what it is, and that maybe Aaron misunderstood the question, maybe. That's what that's for.
He's still on the phone.
So you won't see that won't be an additional to it.
Okay,
So the 1650 includes that already.
so this upgrade that we need,
Yes,
this 1650, so the extra 475 on top of what we are already paying,
correct,
is going to cover the upgrade that we need to have.
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Bill, one other thing. Maybe you can explain it to the people. From what I can understand, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. We're trying to be sort of fair around the board. We want to not hurt our commercial users that bad. But their rates are going up a little bit more than everybody else, right?
Yeah, some of them are going up more than others, some of them are going
Yes.
up a little bit less, but
All right, well.
they've tried to equal it out, so, you know, the residents are not paying for the industry, because that's not fair, it's not fair
I
to the
know.
public.
I
So,
understand.
yeah, so that was all brought into that, so.
Well, we want
they're
economic
paying their fair
development.
share. And just so everybody understands, like the industrial customers, what that is like a bar, processing, and venture that own their own transformers. So that's how they get a different rate, because they've went out and bought their stuff, so it saves us some money, like the new battery recycling plant that's coming. They spent over $100,000 just on the transformer. Because I talked to them and told them, we can't afford to just take it out of our budget, because we didn't have that budgeted, obviously. So they agreed to put that in, so in turn, they get a better rate because they're paying that all front. So that's how the industry kind of works. It's kind of, because we get a better rate because they're using more power, obviously. And then with them owning everything, it comes upon them, like bar processing, they own both their transformers. Well, I found out recently that they're probably in an upwards of 20 to 25 years old. So technically, their lifespan's about done with their transformers. So that's a cost, you know, we don't have to incur because they own them. Now, will we try to help them? If we have the transformer the right size, we will do what we can, because they're our biggest customers. I mean, we'll help them get them in place, and then, you know, just work out a deal where they just, you know, buy one and we just receive it, so. But just so everybody kind of understands where that's all at.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Mr. George?
All right.
Recognize, sir.
And Mr. George, I apologize if this question is not actually your question, but as far as the AMI project, the meter project goes, from 2021 to 2022, $115,000 annually. If I understood the individual correctly, our annual cost is jumping to $147,000 because we are not at the deployment stage where we were supposed to be with the meters. Is that correct?
That I don't know the answer to.
Okay, yeah,
No.
if you could, please.
Yeah, I might help a little, Kevin. I think the electric meters haven't been installed. They just came in and they're going to be installed soon. The water meters were before, so as the project develops, that's when the payments
Yes,
are made.
we have received, I think before your last council meeting, we received the remainder of our electric meters in.
Okay.
So we're just waiting on Aclara to come in and install, because that was part of our contract. Now, we have replaced some so far, but the rest of it will be rolling out soon.
All right, and that's kind of where I was going with that, was if we were getting penalized, so to say, because we were not at the installation level we were supposed to be, my next question was for Mr. Bryan. Was there anything we could do? But if the meters are in,
Yeah, and we should be there before the end of the year. I would guess we will have the electric part in anyhow.
Right, we've had calls with the various companies every 2 to 3 weeks to keep things moving, keep the communication going, and do what we need to do as far as getting the new meters in and the ones that aren't working fixed and operational.
my concern was just simply, were we being penalized financially for
Yeah.
not being where we were planned to be at the time, so.
Yeah, that would be an Aaron question.
If you'd like. Yes, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, back on page 13, just as a point of clarification for myself here. We retired, or not, we didn't retire, but as far as the AMI from 21 to 22, it was 115,000 annually. You said that was increasing to 147 annually under the new proposed plan. Is that because we are not at the deployment level we were expected to be at for the meters, or is that something separate?
Correct. That payment has been left because the full $3.1 million, my understanding, hasn't been borrowed. There's still some funds sitting in a, what do you want to say, another fund that hasn't been used. And so that debt service has only been about $115,000 annually thus far. But once you guys get all the chips, or that company gets all the chips to install the rest of the meters, that's when additional payments will be, I'm guessing, required to the contractor, and therefore you're going to start incurring the full $147,000 payment.
Okay, I understand now. So again, the 147,000 would have been the normal all along had we been turnkey from the start for a
Yeah,
full
let's say it
install.
all got done in 1 year's time, then it would have been $147,000 annually.
Understand. Thank you for the clarification, sir.
If there's no other questions, Bill, thank you. And for what was going on. I'm gonna rule, excuse me, let me get up here. I'm gonna rule this part of the meeting closed. We're gonna go on. Public comments, the agenda item only. Would anybody like to speak to the chair? Okay. Reports. I have none for tonight. Council members, please. Mrs. Stempert, Mr. Federoff first. Mr. Federoff, do you have any comments for?
This is probably my last meeting. I was appointed to fill the term until the election, and understand the election was for the unexpired term under First Ward, which would have been Mike Sirotko. I think a lot of the problems this council has experienced over the short time I've been here is people that, for whatever reason, did not want to see the city to progress. If you look at the stuff that has been done, from the community center to the kitchen to getting the lights downtown, a lot of money, getting things paid off. I'm hoping that the majority of the people, they say they want change. It's one thing to set up a meeting and go from the background and say this is wrong, that's wrong, you didn't do this. Well, now the burden is on the new council people. Hopefully you will hold them to the same standard. Hopefully they will not experience the same, I would have to call it harassment with the public record requests, the wanting to stop the senior citizen lunches and all of that. I was talking with my wife, and she says she feels sorry for the senior citizens because chances are they're going to lose the camaraderie of lunches and getting together and the use of the kitchen. And I thought for a minute on that, and I said, you know, I don't feel sorry for them. She said, what do you mean? I said, they vote. Senior citizens, in a majority, vote more than the average citizen. So the last election reflected, apparently, the wishes of the senior citizens. When you make a statement, such as who you're going to elect, you want your city run, you take all of it. It's not like I can pick this particular law that I want to see enforced, or this part of the charter, or whatever. We spent a lot of time in court because people, quite frankly, have stepped outside their appointed duties. I maybe take a different look at being an appointed councilman. Okay, am I a councilman? Yes. But that's all I am, as a councilman. I'm part of the council. My opinion, if we're out here talking, does not mean a thing. What means the thing is, what makes something official is when the majority of council approves it or disapproves it. An individual councilman, many times I think they've gone outside the scope of their authority. We had a mayor that undoubtedly went outside the scope of his authority, and consequently, we ended up in court several times where people
Mr.
did
Bariak,
not
point
want
of order.
to realize.
Point of order. Go ahead.
Beg pardon?
We are supposed to be doing committee reports.
That's what you're getting, a committee report. You're getting
What
a committee of
is
one.
that?
I resent your interference.
Fine. Let's go on to personal comments afterwards then too.
Okay,
Let's,
that will take care of my report. I had, as to where people say, well, what did you do? Well, I was part of the council that got a lot of stuff done. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mrs. Stemper?
This Friday, we will have, the turkey raffle for the fire department at Station 1 across from McDonald's. It begins at 7. They also have a cooler raffle, that'll be taking place. And I have, a volunteer group in Commerce, I had been in conversation with them in regards to the Christmas, lighting stuff. I'll wait until the city manager's report to, clarify some of that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Rufner?
No committee reports, no.
Okay. I'm gonna go on to the finance director, sir.
Sure, just a couple of things. The budget was emailed to all of council today, the 2024 budget. And the Treasury Investment Board met last Wednesday, the 8th, and there was a presentation by the Mater Group. And what I'll do is I'll upload that presentation, same location that I put the month-end reports, for anyone that wants to look at it.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Rufner, Mrs. Stempert, Mr. Federoff, or the finance director? All right, I'm gonna go on to the law director.
I have no report, Mr.
Mr.
Bariak.
Bryan?
I have no report unless anyone has any
All right,
questions.
anybody have any questions for the law director before I move on? All right, I'll go on to the city manager.
Yes, just a couple things. You all have in front of you the fire inspection report for this building. As part of the inspection for the kitchen, we also had the fire department in here to inspect, and you can see this building failed in every aspect as far as the fire prevention. So there's some work that needs to be done in this building to get it up to code for the fire inspection. We've had some major issues at the water plant again. As you all know, you passed the ordinance to go ahead and buy what is considered the brains of the water department, though it's on order, and we did that. It went down again this past weekend, and they were not able to bring it back up, so they had to put some new parts in it for the cost of about $14,000, and so they had to do that to get it back up and running again. So at this point, it is back up and running with new parts in it, and so they shouldn't have any further issues. So Cody's trying to work out the differences as far as what is still needed to get it up to par versus what he's already spent. So instead of that cost, you know, it's probably going to be lower at this point because they had to replace parts of it already. So just to keep everybody up to speed on that, we've had some issues, again, with that water plant, and so they've worked them out. As far as other things, we did have the Treasury Investment Board meeting, and it was a very interesting meeting as far as, you know, the finances and the investments, so we're doing very well at this point in time. We've also had a number of budget meetings with the various departments these last couple weeks, and so we think we've got everything projected out for the budget, which everybody was sent that budget today. You should have it in your emails when you go home later. It was sent later this afternoon, so everybody should have the 2024 budget in their email. And just a couple other little things about Scott Street. I just wanted to mention that that project has started. And having said that, I think there's a couple things that I want to say about Scott Street. I think this council does owe Mr. Lynch a debt of gratitude as far as starting that project. When he started it, I get why he started it. It was a good project to start, but the funding was all wrong. We changed that funding. We did some different things for that, but the project is a good project and it needed to go forward. So I'm glad that that is finally underway and moving forward. The same thing with Dunkin' Donuts. I think he does, should receive a debt of gratitude for that, starting the project again. We will be able to work out a little bit different deal, which was better for the community. But again, that's moving forward, and I think he should be thanked for that also by this council, at least moving it forward and having the foresight to do that. And just one more thing is the turkey dinner for the senior citizens is this weekend, Saturday. So if anybody's interested, the tickets are still on sale, I believe, through tomorrow. So, and that's it. That's all I have for my report.
Okay. All right, is there anybody else?
May I have the floor?
Yes.
Mrs. Pretty, I had a few people contact me that are wanting to volunteer and conversations with some conference people. Can you give us an update on where the Christmas lighting program is? You had mentioned before, like, and I saw some posts that the city was doing things. Can you kind of clarify where that's at and what's happening?
Yes, Katie reached out to me yesterday, and I did tell her as far as the tree lighting ceremony goes, and Tom reached out also. I talked with Tom Colosimo and told him that the village was lighting the tree. We did, actually the lights were put on, I believe today, and some of the ornaments have been put on. We're waiting for the school with the ornaments that the kids are decorating, and those should be here by Monday, and then they'll be put on the tree. But as far as any other things that were going on, I told Tom whatever they wanted to do, they could do, because the city was just doing the tree lighting itself, lighting the tree and putting the ornaments on. So any other events they wanted to hold, they could hold. And he said that the Commerce was had a permit already, which they did. So I said that permit was still good, so they could use the same street closure permit that they had.
Okay. Then can I just add to this conversation that the Christmas tree lighting is going to be at 7 o'clock on 11/25. The conference is taking responsibility of that. The city did light the tree and put the decorations on. The school is doing decorations as well. And the conference is okay to add to the tree decorations or any of that stuff. They have different vendors and things that they're working on. So I believe there's a flyer or something that should be coming out and being shared so everybody can get updates and information on that. So there will still be a Christmas tree lighting at 7 o'clock on the 25th. That's all I have.
Mr. Rufner, do you want an address, sir?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna rule that closed. I'd like to go on to the approval of the previous minutes, regular meeting minutes, November 1st, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh, any discussion first? Not, roll call?
Ms. Stimpert,
Yes.
Mr. Federoff,
Yes.
Mr. Bariak,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner.
Yes.
Okay. Ma- Excuse me. Minutes adopted. Okay, we're gonna go on to unfinished business ordinance 2023-45. Would the clerk please read that by title, sir?
Ordinance 2023-45, an ordinance amending the electric rates.
Mr. Bariak, if I could make a suggestion?
Yes, sir. You're recognized, Mr.
Thank you. Under the unfinished business section is the version of the ordinance that was on the agenda last meeting. The new business version 2 has different effective rates, and those were the version 2 has the rates that the Sawville study was contemplating as to when they would be in effect. And the new one would be with the bills prepared February 19th, 2024, and due on or around March 4th, 2024, because the bills are in arrears, and that would cover the January bill. The
Excuse me.
first version had earlier dates.
Yes, excuse me. Sir, we're voting on the new one, right?
Yes, so my suggestion
The one
is,
that was
let's
corrected.
leave the
Not-
old one alone, introduce version
Yeah,
2, and
yes.
take action on that, and it will need 2 readings.
That's what I thought, okay. Did council hear what the law director said? Okay, it's been put on the floor. Any discussion? Anybody like the floor? I'd like to say something, I sponsored it. We've taken a lot of things into consideration. Nothing's going down, but we tried to go as easy as we could on the residential. If we probably wouldn't have borrowed the $462,000 out of the electric department, that might have not brought it down a whopping bit, but that did contribute it. Past administration found it necessary to take that money for what, you know. We also had the smart meters, which, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, we went way ahead of what we should have done. The county's still waiting to get them. But we're very, very competitive. As a matter of fact, a lot lower. You can see it in the figures. The figures don't lie than Ohio Edison. And we are moving forward. That's all I got to say to you. Does anybody want to say anything before I call for the roll?
He doesn't have a motion.
You want to recognize, ma'am? Mr. Rufner?
Are we on unfinished business or new business?
Right now, sir, we're on unfinished business. I'm sorry.
No, I think we're on new business.
We're in new,
We're introduced the version 2,
Yeah, I had it- I had it.
2023-45.
I'm sorry. I didn't X that off. I had to change a page. We're going to vote on it. Then if there's no more discussion, will you please call the roll, please, sir?
Who made the motion?
Wait,
Make sure you identify by title, by number, what they're voting on.
okay, ordinance 2023-45, version 2 is what we're voting on now, the new one.
You need a motion.
All right, I need a motion.
Make that motion.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Federoff?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, we're gonna go on to ordinance. I have my papers in line now, excuse me. Sorry about that confusion there a second ago. Thank you, Mr. An ordinance authorize, ordinance 2023-46, would you mind reading that by title, sir?
Ordinance 2023-46, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into contracts specified herein for the purchase of chemicals needed by the Village of Newton Falls Water Plant for the calendar year 2024.
Do I have a motion to put that on the floor?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Rufner.
And this for city manager, just for clarification, looking at the information that was provided to us regarding the bids, and I appreciate that information being presented. It did state that the AQ 772 ACH received no bid in the column of its own, but it is being awarded to Aquamark at the .485 per pound, which is the aluminum chlorohydrate. Are they both the same item? I believe the aluminum chlorohydrate, that ain't easy to say, is on the far left or in that area through Aquamark.
It's cut off.
But the AQ 772 is on the far right and received no bid.
Which page are you looking at?
The exhibit.
Yeah, on the exhibit. So if you look at the, it's the aluminum chlorohydrate, ACH. It was approved at .485 per pound.
I think,
So the exhibit.
yeah,
that's-
the aluminum chlorohydrate,
Is,
The exhibit that's printed in your packet is cut off.
yeah, it's cut off.
Okay, I was going by the one that was presented in the package as it went out to council.
yeah, I guess, I mean, if you look in column 2, the aluminum chlorohydrate, Aquamark bid .485 a pound, but it's listed as AQ the 722, so I don't know the answer if it's the same.
Yeah, I'm just
chemical
asking
or
if,
it's a
is it
substitute.
the same, and if it is the same, why did we do 2 requests for quotes?
Or it's possible just the title, the bid was misnamed on the sheet, that it should be
Are you looking at the contract?
aluminum chlorohydrate instead of AQ 7072.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying, maybe the AQ 722 is
Well, and that was my point in asking, was if they are the same, great, but why do we do 2 requests for quotes?
yeah, I don't know the answer.
And then just like the,
Mike, do you have the original bid sheet?
I have it right here on my phone.
I don't have the original with me.
No, the original bid sheet he did. No, not that.
okay.
The
original bid
handwritten
sheet that
one?
Came in,
The handwritten,
yeah, the
Version?
handwritten bid sheet.
I do not believe I have that with me
So
tonight.
if I can make a suggestion, maybe someone wants to make a motion to amend the ordinance, so under the Aquamark column, we just call it aluminum chlorohydrate, which I think is what it was supposed to say. And then if we can get the answer by the next meeting, and that's correct.
Are we in a hurry on this, sir? If we are, could we call Cody up or someone to clarify this?
I don't know the answer.
Would that help us any?
I'm sorry. My only question is, I'm showing a bid being awarded for something to somebody that there was no bid received on, so.
Right.
For a point of
Right,
clarification.
and with the number, right, I think it's meant to be aluminum chlorohydrate, not AQ 722 aluminum chlorohydrate. Yep.
Hello, how are you? Good, I have a quick question for you. On the bid sheet for the chemicals that you have, under Aquamark, if you remember, there's aluminum chlorohydrate and the AQ 722 ACH.
Where no one bid on.
Okay, where no one bid. Is that correct? Is Aquamark. It's proprietary and it's the only company that makes it. Okay.
What's the
that's all.
official
And
name?
what about the, do we
Did
need
everybody hear
aluminum
that?
chlorohydrate? I guess is the
Could
question.
you please say that again?
Carbohydrate? That's what it is. That's the ACH? Okay.
So they're the same thing?
Is it the same thing? Okay, the only company that bid on it was Aquamark, and the ACH is the code for it, he says. Okay.
Wait, before you go, are they is aluminum chlorohydrate, ACH, the same as AQ 722 ACH?
Did you hear him?
That's that.
Sounds like they're,
So we
sounds
don't
like
need,
they're brand.
Yeah, you don't need that column, is what he said. It's, no other company bid on it. It's a proprietary, so it's the only company that would have bid on it. Aquamark's the only company.
okay, and then we don't need that.
Correct.
We don't need to amend that then, do we?
Okay. that's
We
what
do. I
We
think
do?
we do, just to clarify, yes.
Okay, thank
I
you.
couldn't hear you, sir.
I think we do. We need to strike the AQ 722. I don't know that we do or we don't, but just to be safe, I would amend it to take that out. Just call it aluminum chlorohydrate, so it matches the chart.
Yeah, that's the code for it, is what he's saying. So that shouldn't be listed there, is what Cody's saying. Is that Aquamark is the only company.
Well,
that does
they
it.
did bid for it, and it just under
Right,
aluminum
it's
chlorohydrate.
the same thing, right.
Oh, do you want me to make a motion then to amend that, sir?
Yes, and just to clarify, the motion would be to strike AQ-722 from the last line of page 1 under Aquamark.
I'll make the motion to strike that, according to what the law director recommends.
I'll second.
Any, Mr. Fedorov, Mrs. Stemper, would you like to, any further clarification? Did you hear what they were saying? Vote. Could we please have the vote then?
Mr. Rufner?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm rushing everybody here.
We were voting on the amendment.
Right, we're voting on the amendment.
And repeat for them what is the rule.
And we're gonna vote on the amendment that the law director suggested on the chemical.
And ask him again what exactly his amendment is.
What exactly is the amendment again, sir? Would you please read it to the record one more time?
At the bottom of the first page of the ordinance, the letters AQ and then dash numbers 722 are going to be stricken from the ordinance. So it would just say Aquamark, Chesterland, Ohio, aluminum chlorohydrate.
All right. Okay, now that everybody's been read that.
Hey, yeah, I do have a question on that. Does that mean we have to pass another?
Yeah, well, we're gonna
ordinance?
pass it as the law director says to amend it.
Okay, we're just amending it.
We're amending it right
Not
now.
striking it from the contract, though.
Right.
Okay, it's
We're
just,
striking it right now too, aren't we? Didn't I
Yeah, we're
understand?
removing those words, and I guess the contract, did you look at the contract?
Yeah, contract would need to be adjusted to match.
Okay, so if you look at the contract, which would be the first one that appears, the AQ-722 would be struck from the contract.
Yeah, 722 would be struck from the record.
okay.
Thanks, Mr. Federer.
Question is on the amendment.
The question's on the amendment right now. Should it be stricken? I'm amending it. I put a motion to amend it. You seconded,
I'll
didn't you?
second that, yes.
Mr. Rufner seconded.
Who did?
Mr.
Mr. Rufner, I'm sorry, it's already been on the floor.
Okay.
I'm gonna call for the vote then on the amendment.
Ms. Stempert?
Yes.
Mr. Federoff?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
All right,
Now-
and now we need to vote on the ordinance as amended.
Yes, now we're gonna vote on the, 2023-46, we're gonna vote on the, ordinance as amended.
Is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion? Would you please call the roll then, sir? Mr.
Mr.
Paul,
Federoff?
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stempert?
Yes.
And then, Mike, you'll make those changes then for the next
Yes.
meeting? Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're gonna go on to Resolution 37, 2023. Would you please read that, sir? Mr. Al-
Resolution 37-2023, a resolution allocating and designating the properties known as 110 Broad Street and 116 Broad Street as the future location for a new water tower, once the existing water tower needs to be replaced.
I have a motion to put that on the floor.
Make that motion.
Second, discussion. I sponsored this resolution. It's come to my attention that we're gonna need a new water tower here within 10 years or so. The one's come to, its life cycle's coming to its fruition. This property is out there, may be part of the new water tower. If not, it may be fenced in. We have, it also, when we go to build the new one, we're gonna have a place to build it while we're tearing the old one down and restructuring, get it up. We wanna keep this piece of property, should we need it, even if we need it for tools and trucks and line, maybe some lines will have to run through it, we don't know yet. We want to designate that now so the city keeps it and has it. So the people understand why we want that property. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? Go ahead, Mr. Rufner.
Oh, go ahead, let Rupert.
All right, I attended the same infrastructure meeting that you guys did, and the one good thing that came out of it was our water tower was the one thing that didn't need to be addressed. It was structurally sound, there was an internal, what do you want to call it, inspection done where they sent a dive team inside. They come out and said the coating was perfectly fine, there were no issues. Now all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, it's 10 years down the road, we gotta replace it. I don't buy it. So I just don't see the sense in this, quite honestly. And besides that, looking at the location, if you go out there and stand in that location where it's marked, or even look at the map. Now granted, I can't change what happened 50 whatever years ago to put the existing one in place. But did anybody notice what would be in the fall radius of that if something were to happen, for the what if? Chances of it falling might be slim to none, but it's never zero. You got a bridge there that connects the east side to the west side of our town. You also have a dam that's immediately downstream, and that hydraulic pressure alone, if a water tower were to fall in that location, would wipe out the dam, whether it's a brand new dam or the one we have now. So I think before we look at where we're going to put potential structures of this nature, we should be doing a risk analysis and looking at other areas to make sure that the risk is acceptable. Again, I'm not saying it'll happen, but what if it does? We can what if anything to death, but my point is we should do proper risk analysis if we're gonna be erecting structures of this nature. That's all I've got.
Mr. Federoff, would you?
Yeah, listening to Mr. Rupert there, I'm not an engineer. I don't think he is either. What we're talking about is what if. Let's look at it right now today. What if this particular piece of property is city property, okay? There is no right-of-way through there. In the event that changes in administration, and we've already heard as to where people are wanting to use that particular area as a parking lot. Once it's gone, no longer city property, it's gone. We're gonna need that particular piece of property, even though it's a what if. Mr. Rickman says, well, we should do a in-depth engineering survey on it. Okay, we can do an in-depth survey on it, if it's our property. So I'm saying let's keep it there. If Mr. Ruffner in his term wants to have an in-depth engineering survey, okay, it'll be available for that. But as far as right now, I think we should protect it. This is something that once it's gone, it's gone. So I'm voting in favor of this particular resolution, looking in the future. That's all I have.
Anybody else? I don't know about, I was told by our people that run the plant net that we are gonna be looking for a water tower down the road. Look, we took a $40,000 loan on that piece of property. We're paying it back at $4,000 a year. Yes, it has been discussed. There was gonna be a property swap out over there. Who owns the bank? Our new mayor? Who owns the bank?
Point of order.
I just want to know, you know what I mean? I don't know why this has to come up where we're gonna give away city property, swap stuff, when we may need it. Please, I have the floor. You can say what you want when you get your chance. Thank you. I'll give you one more chance, Mrs. Okay? Or you'll be going out of here. Now, let's just have decorum.
Isn't there a public session?
Yes, we have a public section when they can talk. But right now, I don't feel the time is until we know what we're gonna do, which we may be gonna do, for us to be going ahead, and I want to protect this property. Now, that's what I feel. We're not gonna give this, look, we've given a lot of city property away in the past. And maybe some was landlocked. This isn't landlocked. We may need it for the tower. And that's why I sponsored it now, to make sure that we would have it done. Because like Mr. Fedorov says, once it's gone, it's gone. All right, there's no other discussion. Mrs. Stemper, do you want to talk?
No.
Okay, there's no other discussion. Let's call for the roll.
Mr. Rufner?
No.
Ms. Stimpert?
No.
Mr. Fedorov?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes. Motion doesn't pass. So tie.
Well, perhaps a refined, more focused, see if the council will agree to preserve the property as you and Mr.
Well, that's what the motion says, sir, but look, right now, we're gonna move forward. I'm gonna go to public comments next.
Julie Lemon, 609. Got a lot to say, so I'm going to talk fast. First off, looking on our city website, under the finance department, you can actually see the expense and audit and revenue reports for the whole year. And I was going through those, and according to the expense audit report ending 10/31/23, council itself was charged $15,799.35 just for the month of October, with no actual description of what the services were for. What I failed to find is where that was okayed by you guys. If you look last year, your guys' appropriated budget beyond your salaries was like $24,000. And 75% of it was spent in 1 month. Holy heck. Our prior administration, our prior council, they didn't do that. You guys did. Second of all, I put in a public records request back in the end of October, and I respectfully asked for a copy of receipt via email, paper copy email with any and all records pertaining to the following items. The application of the $5 million grant for the community center and or the community parks, because that was on Pam's 4-page list of her accomplishments. Now, you guys are our government. It's your duty and your job to keep copies of things for public records. No records exist. Same thing with the river, application for the river project, application for the grant for the charging stations. No records exist. So where are all these grants? We're paying $3,000 a month to OHM and nothing's being done. That's money well spent. Another thing I wanted to say is I want to thank the Newton Falls Fire Department for yesterday. My family had a scare. My daughter is 16 years old and has had a traumatic brain injury since she was 9. Now, she ended up having her first 2 grand mal seizures yesterday. And even though I work in the medical field, I froze because it's different when it's your kid. But I want to personally thank Captain Savette and paramedic Beauchesne. That's Elena's hero because he did not poke her with a needle. But I want to thank them for keeping me calm. That was Captain Savette and Mr. Beauchesne for taking good care of my baby. It was absolutely scary. And someone once asked me, why do you fight the way you do? Them boys yesterday are exactly why I fight for my hometown the way I do. They're not crooked, they're doers. They're not selfish, they're selfless. And I'm so thankful for our first responders. Thank God we have them. We don't have our police, but at least we still have our fire and our paramedics. And that's probably because the city don't have their hands on that. Thank you.
Document request?
Katie Carl, 128 West Quarry.
Ask her to wait.
Pardon me?
Ask her to wait while we. It seems
Am I allowed to speak?
Point of order, there should not be crosstalk
Yes.
up here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Somebody
Really, ma'am, what I want to say, if you have complaints, rather than
I
get up
didn't
here.
say anything
No, I
yet.
didn't say you. I said, excuse me. They should be directed to the law director because if this is some criminal type of action or that, I mean, you know, that we're doing this, or oh, it's all right. Go ahead. I didn't say nothing to you. I'm talking about the lady that was up here, Mrs. Lemon. All right, well, I'm just saying if there's some kind of accusations, maybe we ought to make them to the people that can help us. Would you please, sir, would you escort her out of here, ma'am? Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Come on, get out of here. You want to go too? First warning. Mr. Beer, it's your first warning, sir. Please. Mr. Sim. Well, thank you. Well, thank you, sir. Come on. All right, Mrs. Thing, would you, come on, you have the floor. You could start your 3 minutes again. You people aren't. Oh, look, we're going to go on with the meeting, please. 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 Can we go on with the meeting? Katie Carl, would you want to, you start your 3 minutes
fine,
whenever?
but you keep
Start your
interrupting.
3 minutes whenever you want, ma'am. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, Katie Carl, 128 West Quarry. There's quite a few things I have to say. Number one, the electric rate increase, big disappointment. The POA was made to take care of increases and changes, adjustments, yada, yada, yada. To have another one and to have a surcharge, it's not fair to the people. You've disbanded the police department. Our insurances have gone up substantially. So I don't know if all of you have felt that hit yet. You should have. That's because of no police department. It needs to be addressed. And in the budget, every single department has a city manager allocation fund. There's your police department fund right there. All right, that's our cost. We have the money to get our police department back. Do it. Put it in the budget and get our police department back. Make sure there's forensic audit and get our men back here. Get our police department and protect our community because it needs to be done. And we need to be safe here. We need to protect our town. Thank you.
Rick Semesnik, 223 Oak Knoll. I have some serious concerns on raising the electric rates. At the end of my second term, when I was a councilman, which ended in 2018, I was chairman of the Utilities Committee, and we did a study on electric rates, and we found that it needed raised because we didn't have enough poles and transformers in case of an emergency. It got raised 8%, council passed it. As far as I know, we're still paying on it right now. Also, on a second note, and maybe Mr. George can explain this to me later, if you go to the PUCO website, you could, for gas and electric rates, we can't switch. If I lived in the township, I can go to one of a half a dozen electric companies or gas companies. Here, there's an ordinance that supposedly that says I can't switch from the city of Newton Falls to a company in New York that's selling it for half of what we're doing. I know there's rates besides kilowatt hours, transmission fees, line fees and such. But maybe Mr. George can explain that to me later. I worry about economic development with that. How are we going to be attractive and get new industry or houses or whatever if we're going to be high like that? Thank you.
Chelsea Harper, 515 High Street. So a couple things. We all understand that the economy sucks, so we know that everything's going up. I will say that Newton Falls is still lower than like Leavittsburg. I mean, over in Leavittsburg, I paid a heck of a lot more for my electricity. I think the issue that everybody's having is the fact that like when they ask questions about certain rates, they can't get answers, and it took Mr. Rufner wording his question like 4 different ways just to get the proper answer. I think that's like part of the problem. I'm pretty sure we all understand that rates go up just like prices in grocery stores go up. Like that stuff's supposed to go up every couple years. So I really don't think that it's necessarily the raise that's the problem. It's how it's happening and how much it's seeming to happen because we had all those things along the way, like the meters, et cetera. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up, if we need a water tower 10 years down the road, that's cool, okay? But I don't know anyone that starts looking at houses 10 years from the time they're prepared to buy it. So I think that also goes for properties. I could be wrong. However, whose property is it and why do we need to keep it? Because it kind of sounds like we're trying to steal it from somebody. And then mentioning a new administration down the road and trying to get the vote passed now just makes it sound really sketchy, okay? that doesn't help all of us out here at all. Clarification on these things, especially when the same person who was in that meeting literally just said that's absolutely not what was said. It doesn't look good at all. It makes people question your sanity. It's kind of like lying once, okay? And it being proven that it was a lie makes everyone question everything that you say, okay? You don't just get that back. And it's part of the problem that everybody out here has been talking about for the past few months. It's not everybody attacking everybody. We're literally telling you someone just proved you wrong with receipts on it. And it doesn't make sense to me, okay? Just tell the truth the first time.
Anybody else, please?
Tricia Benitez, 70 West A Street, Newton Falls. Well, we made the Tribune again today, and apparently they sort of feel the way I do, and it sounds like a lot of people out here, about the $30,000 raise. Now, I did a little bit of calculating, and I'm sure I will get talked about, but the proposed salary of $90,000. 52 weeks times 40 hours is 2,080 hours. And we have the senior kitchen. Of course, I'm going to get blamed again for trying to be bad to the senior kitchen. So the lunch hours, 52 weeks times 8 hours a week, the city manager spends in the kitchen. Maybe more, I don't know. Vacation hours, 30 days times 8 hours is 240 hours. Actual working hours is really 1,424. Pay per working hour, 90,000 divided by 2,080 hours is $43.27 an hour. Actual working hours, 90,000 divided by 1,424 hours is $63.20 an hour. Okay? Lunch duties, 416 hours times $43.27 comes up to $18,000. 416 hours times $63.20 comes up to $26,291.20. 416 hours times $43.20 equals $18,000. I realize that Mrs. Pretty does spend more than 8 hours per week for the senior lunches. 8 hours a week is really not accurate. But again, I will be accused of comparing apples to oranges. I am sure we could probably find someone that would be willing to work for that sum. Next, I'm going to get reprimanded because I didn't say that you need someone licensed by the health department. I'm sure that could be erased. And a pet peeve of mine is that when I do or say something, Mrs. Pretty doesn't come and speak with me, but sends someone else. That happened again today. I received a message from somebody else to tell me that my chair and silver sneakers should be moved because I am in the path of someone trying to get in. Okay? The reason was that people couldn't get through behind my chair.
Time.
Okay. You could say that I should
Time, ma'am.
Pardon?
Time's up. Would you like to
Okay.
ask for additional time?
Okay.
Thank you.
Brian Crop, 247 Elizabeth Street. I don't have much. She's got all those numbers and stuff. I don't really need that. What I remember a few years ago, and Pam, I remember when you came in, when the city manager was brought in, she was going to be a volunteer. She wasn't even the first choice. The first choice was actually sitting right over here, and he declined. And I appreciate and understand why he declined, because it's a zoo. It's become a circus with clowns. But Pam came in and was just going to be a temporary person to hold that position. Didn't want pay, didn't want money. But I think she was on disability or was getting some money some other place. So that was kind of an issue. And she was just gonna hold that seat for a little while until we could get a real city manager, somebody who had experience and knowledge, and someone who's gonna actually lead the community for a long time moving forward. That was years ago. Now she's trying to get, $70,000 and $90,000. Same thing with our finance director. We have a finance director that was supposed to be a temporary finance director, who's now been here for multiple years. We've had multiple law directors now, and we've hemorrhaged money to the law department repeatedly for law. I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know what his name is, or if he was actually brought in by council, if council actually approved, or are we paying this person? I don't even know. It's funny to watch two law guys like go back and forth and like talk to each other. Like, that seems so strange to me. But I'm really looking forward to having some decent, competent individuals up there on council that actually care about their community, actually care about the wards that they represent. I sat here and listened to what was supposed to be a ward report earlier today that all a councilman did, who's actually done nothing for our ward whatsoever, talk about and badmouth the community, which he's one of the most condescending people I've ever probably experienced in my life. To sit here and listen to this person bash the community when he's literally done nothing for the community in his tenure up here, and he wasn't even elected. The people didn't even elect this person. It was just an appointment. So it was nice to hear the change of tone after the law director gave an opinion that this will be his last meeting, which is fantastic. I'm excited about that. And guys, I'm sure you probably realize it's really hard to pass legislation that you guys have already talked about beforehand when you don't have your third wheel. It's really hard to pass faulty legislation, bad legislation, when you don't have another person who's already talked to everybody. Like the senior kitchen, like you guys all go to the senior kitchen and hang out together and have a little powwow. Like, you guys don't think we know what you guys are doing? Pam, before she took this job, was actually running a kitchen. It's amazing now she wants to get paid $90,000. You guys want to give her $90,000 to run a kitchen here. Are you kidding me? Like, give me a break. I can't wait for the change to come. It can't be much worse than you guys, no matter who's up there. I don't know if it really can, because you guys have been awful. You guys have rammed legislation through repeatedly, don't care about the community in any way, shape, or form. It's been 8 years of chaos, and unfortunately, the person who's sitting up there holding the mayor's seat has been at the forefront of most of it. And John, I know this because I've worked with you and talked to you personally, so I know exactly how you are. You can't say that I don't know you because I've worked with you. It's a mess. The town can't wait for you guys to go away. Just go away, and please do it quietly, okay? Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Is there anybody else? Okay, public comments, I will those closed. Closing remarks. Number one, there's a lot I'd like to say tonight. You couldn't even take a drug test. That's why you're not up here. Are you going to take a drug test now? Wait a minute. Mr. Alberini, who did you bid against when they gave you the $50,000 contract when you're going away in the legislators and lattes? Oh, yeah, come on up here. Yeah, come on up here, Terry. Who did you bid against? Wait a minute. Oh, everybody, wait a minute. I've got a public, whoa. Oh, yeah. What have you done for the community? Either of you. What have you done? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you're a liar.
John.
All right, I'm gonna
Stick to your.
wait a minute. I can't say what I want to say. Let me tell you something. Quit sending me Facebook. Hey, Crop, and here we got the mayor. We got the new mayor. Why not? The truth hurts, doesn't it?
Tell me the $50,000 I got, sir.
The
Do you want to be
truth
sued?
John.
Produce it.
Wait a minute. Excuse me.
Produce
I
it.
have the floor now.
How about your $180,000
Get him out of here.
contract from 2010 to 2016?
You're supposed to go, sir. Get out of here. Get out of here. Hey, could you escort these people out? No, I'm telling the truth.
John.
Wait a minute, I'm allowed to.
John.
Whoa,
John.
You're throwing it at me, I'll throw it back. Now, here's one thing else I want to say.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's on the floor, Mike.
No.
Yes. Call the roll, please. There's a motion on the floor.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Ms. Stemper.
Yes.
Mr. Bariak,
No.
Mr. Federoff.
No.
Okay.
The motion fails. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on here.
Why don't you close the public?
I closed the public. I had the floor. And I said a couple things that must have made them mad.
Yeah, well,
See, but they're allowed to. One thing that I want to say to the people tonight, we also instituted a very good garbage company named Kimball. We weren't sold a garbage company that, well, at least these ones will respond very well. Now, I'm only going to be here another meeting, but I'm going to tell you what, I'll be back and I'll be on the other side, and we'll go from there. And you know, remember that. I'll be back. Thank you. All right, now, the other thing I wanted to say tonight is that people that haven't done anything for this community, nothing. Some of them don't even own houses here. They don't own nothing. But they want to come in here, and I don't know if they're living there, they're living here. I don't care. I give them the due respect, but it's tiring when somebody always wants to come up here and bash and bash and bash and lie. And when you put it back at them, whoa, they get upset because I've been here 74 years. I know a lot. I know Dave for a long time. And Dave, you're not the mayor yet. You were in court the other day saying, Mayor, you're not the mayor yet, are you? Maybe we'll get you something, pal. We'll get you something. No, I say you're not the mayor yet. I am. I'm acting mayor for 2 more meetings. All right, we'll go on then. The rest of the council want to say anything? Mr. Fedorov?
Yeah. I'm not much of a gambler, but I do appreciate, like in Vegas, when the dealer's done, I'm done.
Anybody else want to say anything? Then we'll go on to finance director. He's not here. We'll go on to the law director.
I have nothing, Mr. Bariak.
We'll go on to the city manager.
I have nothing further.
All right. Then I'm gonna close out a meeting. I'm gonna put a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Fedorov?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.